Maple Lane was known as a quiet and neat street. The houses looked similar, with light-colored walls and small gardens in front. People waved at each other in the mornings and kept their voices low at night. The neighborhood had strict rules, managed by the Home Owners Association. Most families followed those rules without question. Tom had lived on Maple Lane for 12 years. He worked as a home repair worker and enjoyed fixing things with his hands. That afternoon, he was in the kitchen repairing a cabinet hinge. The house was silent except for the soft sound of tools. His wife, Anna, was not home. She worked as a district attorney in the city. Her job was serious and demanding, but she loved it. Their son, Ben, had just turned 16. He was kind, polite, and careful. Tom trusted him. Suddenly, Tom's phone began to ring on the counter. He looked at the screen and saw Ben's name. At first, he smiled, thinking Ben was calling to ask about dinner. But the phone rang again and again without stopping. That made Tom nervous. He answered quickly. "Ben, what is wrong?" There was noise on the other end. Voices. A door opening. Ben's breathing sounded fast. "Dad," Ben said softly. "Two men stopped me. They say I am arrested." Tom felt his chest tighten. "Arrested? Why?" "They say I broke HOA rules," Ben replied. "I was riding my bike near the pool. The pool is closed." Tom could not believe what he was hearing. The HOA had rules, but it did not have the power to arrest people. "Where are you right now?" Tom asked. "Near the park gate," Ben said. "They have a white van." "Stay calm," Tom said. "Do not argue with them. I am coming." Tom grabbed his keys and rushed out of the house. As he drove, his thoughts raced. Who were these men? Why would they scare a teenager like this? He took out his phone and called Anna. "Something is wrong," Tom said when Anna answered. "Ben says HOA officers arrested him." Anna went quiet for a moment. "Arrested," she repeated. "That is not legal." "They have badges," Tom said. "At least they say they do." Anna's voice became sharp and focused. "HOA workers cannot detain anyone. I am leaving my office now. Call the police if needed. Do not let them take Ben anywhere." Tom promised and ended the call. His hands were shaking as he drove faster toward the park. When Tom arrived, he saw a small group of neighbors standing at a distance. Near the gate, two men stood beside a plain white van. The van had no logo or writing. Ben was sitting on the curb, his bike on the ground next to him. His face looked pale. One man wore a dark shirt and sunglasses. The other had a cap pulled low over his eyes. Both had badges clipped to their shirts. One of them was holding Ben's arm. Tom parked and walked quickly toward them. "Let go of my son," he said firmly. The man with the sunglasses stepped forward and raised his badge. "Sir, this is an HOA enforcement issue. Please step back." Tom looked closely at the badge. It looked cheap and scratched. There was no clear name, no official mark. Tom felt anger rise inside him. "You have no right to touch him," Tom said. "You are not police." The second man crossed his arms. "Rules are rules," he said. This kid ignored warnings. Ben stood up slowly and moved closer to his father. "Dad, I did nothing wrong," he said. Tom placed a hand on Ben's shoulder. "I know," he said. He looked back at the men. "If there is a problem, you call the police. You do not threaten my son." One neighbor stepped forward. "I have never seen these men before," she said. "Are they really from the HOA?" The man with the sunglasses frowned. "This does not concern you," he said. Tom took out his phone and started recording. "Everything concerns me when my child is involved," he said calmly. The men looked at each other. The one with the cap shifted his feet. "Sir, turn off the phone," he said. "No," Tom replied. "And I am calling the police." Tom dialed the emergency number and explained the situation. He spoke clearly and slowly. He described the men, the van, and the badges. The man with the sunglasses raised his voice. "You are making a mistake," he said. "This will not end well." Tom did not respond. He stayed between Ben and the men. Other neighbors began recording with their phones too. The quiet street felt tense and heavy. A few minutes later, Anna's car turned onto Maple Lane. She parked and stepped out quickly. She wore her work clothes and carried herself with confidence. When she saw Ben, her eyes softened for a moment. Then she turned toward the men. "What is happening here?" Anna asked. "We are HOA enforcement," the man replied. "Your son broke community rules." Anna smiled slightly, but there was no warmth in it. "I am a district attorney," she said. "And you are impersonating law enforcement." The men froze. Anna continued, her voice steady. "You have no legal authority to detain anyone. Your badges are fake. Your threats are illegal. You will step away now." The man with the cap looked nervous. "We were just doing our job," he said weakly. "No," Anna said. "You were abusing power you do not have." Sirens could be heard in the distance. The neighbors whispered among themselves. The two men stepped back slowly. Ben stood close to his parents, feeling safer now. Tom squeezed his shoulder. Maple Lane would never feel the same again. The truth was about to come out, and the fake power these men used was about to disappear. The sound of police sirens grew louder as the tension on Maple Lane increased. Neighbors stood in small groups, whispering and watching closely. Phones were raised, recording every movement. The two men near the white van no longer looked confident. Their shoulders were stiff, and their eyes moved around as if searching for an escape. Anna stood firm in front of them. Her posture was calm, but her voice carried authority. Years in court had taught her how to speak when the truth was on her side. "You should put your hands where everyone can see them," Anna said. "The police are on their way." The man with the sunglasses shook his head. "This is a misunderstanding," he said. "We work for the HOA." Tom stepped closer. "Then tell us your names," he said. "And show real proof." The man with the cap avoided eye contact. "We do not need to," he replied. That answer only made things worse for them. A neighbor named Mark, who lived across the street, stepped forward. "I am on the HOA board," he said. "I have never seen either of you. And we never hired anyone to do arrests." The crowd murmured louder now. The men exchanged nervous looks. Ben stood beside his parents, holding his bike. His hands were shaking slightly. Tom noticed and put an arm around him. "You are doing good," Tom said quietly. "Just stay close." Within minutes, 2 police cars arrived and stopped near the park gate. Officers stepped out and looked at the scene carefully. One officer approached Anna first. "What is going on here?" the officer asked. Anna explained everything clearly. She spoke about the fake arrest, the badges, and the threats. She showed the video Tom recorded. Several neighbors offered to share their recordings as well. The officer nodded and turned toward the 2 men. "May I see your identification?" he said. The man with the sunglasses hesitated. "We left it in the van," he said. "Then we will walk with you," the officer replied. As they moved toward the van, another officer stayed with Tom, Anna, and Ben. "Are you okay?" the officer asked Ben. Ben nodded. "Yes," he said. "I was scared, but they did not hurt me." "That is good," the officer said kindly. At the van, the officers opened the back door. Inside were several items that raised concern. There were fake badges, uniforms, papers with HOA logos printed poorly, and a list of addresses from the neighborhood. The officer looked serious. "Step away from the van," he said to the 2 men. The men were searched and questioned. Their story changed several times. First, they said they were hired by someone in the neighborhood. Then they claimed they were only giving warnings. Nothing they said matched the evidence. Anna watched quietly. She knew this behavior well. People who tried to scare others often broke down when faced with real authority. One officer returned to the group. "These men are not connected to the HOA," he said. "They are being taken in for questioning." The neighbors let out a collective breath. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Others looked angry. Tom thanked the officers. "Thank you for coming so quickly," he said. "That is our job," the officer replied. As the men were placed into the police car, the man with the cap turned and looked at Ben. His face showed regret and fear. Then the door closed. After the police left, the street slowly returned to normal. Neighbors approached Tom and Anna, offering support. Many apologized for not stepping in sooner. "You did the right thing," Anna told them. "Speaking up matters." That evening, the family sat together at home. The house felt quiet, but not peaceful yet. Ben sat at the table, staring at his hands. Tom brought him a glass of water. "You want to talk?" Tom asked gently. Ben nodded. "I thought I was in serious trouble," he said. They sounded so sure. They kept saying rules are rules. Anna sat beside him. "That is how people with fake power act," she said. "They rely on fear." Ben looked at his mother. "What happens now?" Anna thought for a moment. "Now the truth comes out," she said. "Those men will be investigated. And the HOA will need to answer questions too." Tom frowned. "The HOA did not hire them," he said. "True," Anna replied. "But someone may have encouraged this behavior. And we will find out who." Later that night, Anna received a call from a police detective. She listened carefully, taking notes. "They believe these men have done this before," the detective said. Other neighborhoods reported similar incidents. Anna thanked him and ended the call. She turned to Tom. "This is bigger than we thought," she said. Tom sighed. "All because of bike rules," he said. Anna shook her head. "Not rules," she said. "Control." The next morning, news spread quickly through Maple Lane. Messages filled the neighborhood group chat. People demanded answers from the HOA board. A meeting was scheduled for the weekend. Ben stayed home from school that day. He needed time to feel safe again. Tom stayed with him, working from the living room. "You were brave," Tom said. "Not everyone would stay calm like you did." Ben smiled slightly. "I learned from you and Mom," he said. Anna prepared documents at the dining table. She was already planning the next steps. This was no longer just about one family. It was about protecting the whole community. Maple Lane had believed it was safe because of rules and quiet streets. But now, everyone understood something important. Safety came from truth, courage, and people willing to stand up when something felt wrong. And this story was far from over. The weekend arrived quickly, and with it came the HOA meeting. It was held in the small community hall near the park. Chairs were lined in neat rows, but the mood was far from calm. People whispered as they entered, many still shocked by what had happened to Ben. Tom, Anna, and Ben arrived together. Ben stayed close to his parents. He felt uneasy being back near the park, but he wanted to be there. He wanted answers. At the front of the room, the HOA board members sat behind a long table. Mark was there, along with two other board members, Linda and Paul. Their faces showed stress and worry. Mark stood up and cleared his throat. "Thank you all for coming," he said. "We know this week has been upsetting. We want to address the incident involving two men who claimed to represent the HOA. A man from the crowd spoke loudly. "Address how could this even happen?" Another voice followed. "Who gave them our addresses?" The room grew louder. Mark raised his hands. "Please," he said. "We are trying to understand this too." Anna stood up. She did not raise her voice, but the room became quiet anyway. "Understanding is important," she said. "But responsibility matters too." All eyes turned toward her. Many neighbors knew who she was. Some had seen her in court on local news. The men who stopped my son used fear and false authority, Anna continued. They had lists of addresses from this neighborhood. That information came from somewhere. Linda shifted in her seat. We never approved anything like this, she said. We only hire maintenance staff. Anna nodded. Then your systems were not secure, she said. And that allowed harm. Ben listened closely. He felt proud of his mother, but also nervous. This was bigger than he imagined. Mark spoke again. The police told us these men targeted strict neighborhoods, he said. They hoped people would not question them. Tom stood up next to Anna. My son was scared, he said. No family should feel that way in their own neighborhood. Several neighbors nodded. A woman near the back wiped her eyes. They stopped my grandson last month, she said. I thought it was normal enforcement. The room fell silent. That was the first time anyone heard this. Anna turned toward the woman. Did they threaten him? She asked gently. Yes, the woman replied. They said he could get in serious trouble. Mark looked shocked. Why did no one tell us? Because people were afraid, Anna answered. Fear keeps people quiet. The meeting ended with many questions still unanswered. The HOA promised a full review. They agreed to work with police and improve safety. But trust had already been damaged. Later that day, Anna met with the detective handling the case. She shared the new information from the meeting. The detective confirmed that the two men had used similar tactics in other areas. They rely on confusion, the detective said. They look official, speak firmly, and push people to obey. Anna nodded. That ends now, she said. Over the next few days, investigators traced how the men got access to neighborhood data. They discovered that a former contractor had copied records and sold them. The HOA had failed to change access after the contract ended. When this news reached the neighborhood, anger grew. People demanded change. Some board members resigned. New elections were scheduled. Ben returned to school the following week. At first, he felt nervous walking past groups of people. But friends supported him. One teacher even spoke about standing up for what is right. At home, Tom noticed Ben becoming more confident again. He spent time fixing his bike and riding in the driveway. You know, Tom said one evening, you helped protect others. Ben looked surprised. I did. Yes, Tom replied. If you did not call me, those men might still be doing this. Ben smiled softly. He had never thought of it that way. Anna worked late many nights. She prepared reports and spoke with families from other neighborhoods. Her goal was clear. She wanted to stop this pattern before anyone else got hurt. One afternoon, Ben asked her a question. Mom, why do people pretend to have power? Anna thought carefully. Because real power comes from responsibility, she said. And some people want control without earning it. The case gained attention beyond Maple Lane. Local media reported on fake enforcement groups and warned residents to stay alert. Police shared tips on how to verify authority. Tom watched the news quietly. I never thought our street would be on television, he said. Anna smiled slightly. Sometimes change starts at home, she said. A month later, the two men were formally charged with several offenses related to deception and intimidation. The investigation continued, but their operation had ended. The HOA introduced new rules focused on transparency. All staff were required to carry clear identification. Residents were encouraged to question anything that felt wrong. At the next community gathering, the mood felt different. People talked more openly. Children played near the park again. Ben rode his bike past the gate where it all began. This time, he felt calm. He knew his parents were watching, and more importantly, he knew his community had learned an important lesson. Power without truth had no place there. And the echoes of what happened would shape Maple Lane for years to come. Life on Maple Lane slowly began to feel normal again, But something had changed. People greeted each other more often. They asked questions instead of staying silent. The fear that once hid behind neat lawns had started to fade. Tom noticed it first during his morning walks. Neighbors stopped him to talk. They thanked him for standing up for Ben. Some shared stories they had never spoken about before. Small moments where they felt pressured or scared by rules that never felt right. One afternoon, Tom and Ben worked together in the garage. Ben was fixing a loose chain on his bike. His movements were careful, but his face looked more relaxed than it had weeks ago. "You riding to the park later?" Tom asked. Ben nodded. "Yeah, I want to." Tom smiled. "That sounds good." Ben paused. "Dad, what if something like that happens again?" Tom wiped his hands and looked at his son. "Then we speak up again," he said. "And we do not face it alone." Ben nodded. That answer gave him comfort. At the same time, Anna was busy with meetings downtown. The case had grown larger. Other families from nearby areas came forward. They told stories similar to Ben's. Fake authority. Loud voices. Threats that made no sense. Anna listened to each one with care. She explained their rights in simple words. She encouraged them to share evidence. Videos. Messages. Names. Patterns began to appear. The two men had followed a routine. They targeted teens and older residents. They chose places with strict rules. They relied on fear and confusion. But that plan had failed now. One evening, Anna came home later than usual. Tom was cooking dinner. Ben set the table. "You look tired," Tom said. "I am," Anna replied. "But it is the good kind of tired." She sat down and explained the latest update. The investigation had linked the men to a larger group that sold fake services to desperate communities. They promised control and order but delivered fear. They thought no one would challenge them, Anna said. They were wrong. The next day, a community workshop was held at the hall. Police officers attended. So did legal volunteers. Anna helped organize it, but she did not lead it. She wanted the community to feel ownership. The room was full. People listened as officers explained how to verify real authority. They shared steps to take when something felt wrong. Ask for clear identification. Call official numbers. Trust instincts. Anna watched from the back. She saw Ben sitting among other teens. He raised his hand once and asked a question about safety. She felt proud. After the workshop, Mark approached Anna. "We failed as a board," he said quietly. "I am sorry." Anna nodded. "Apologies matter," she said. "Actions matter more." Mark agreed. New systems were already in place. Access to records was restricted. Clear notices were sent to all homes. The HOA rules were rewritten in plain language. Weeks passed. The seasons shifted. Trees changed color. The park filled with laughter again. One afternoon, Ben returned home excited. "Mom," he said, "our class talked about speaking up today." Anna smiled. "What did you say?" "I said silence helps the wrong people," Ben replied. "And asking questions is not trouble." Tom looked at his son with pride. "You have grown," he said. Ben shrugged, but he smiled. Not everyone welcomed the changes. A few residents complained that things felt less strict, that rules felt softer. Anna addressed those concerns during a town meeting. "Safety does not come from fear," she said. "It comes from trust and fairness." Some people crossed their arms. Others nodded. Change always felt uncomfortable at first. Later that night, Anna received an update from the court. The case against the fake officers was moving forward faster than expected. Evidence was strong. Witnesses were ready. She shared the news with Tom. "This will end properly," she said. Tom exhaled. "Good," he said. "Ben deserves that." The next morning, Ben rode his bike past the park gate again. He stopped for a moment and looked around. The place felt different now. Open. Safe. A younger kid waved at him. Ben waved back. At home, Tom watched from the porch. He realized something important. The event that once brought fear had brought growth instead. That evening, the family sat together, eating dinner and laughing. The house felt warm. Anna looked at Ben. "One day, you will tell this story," she said. Ben thought about it. "I will," he said. "But not as a scary story. As a lesson." Tom raised his glass. "To lessons learned," he said. They clinked glasses gently. Maple Lane was no longer just a quiet street. It was a place where people learned to stand together. Where truth spoke louder than fake power. And one family's courage had helped light the way. The day of the court hearing arrived sooner than expected. The building stood tall and serious, made of gray stone and glass. People walked in and out with calm faces, but inside, many stories waited to be told. Tom, Anna, and Ben arrived together. Ben wore a simple shirt and clean shoes. He looked nervous but steady. This was the place where truth mattered. Inside the courtroom, the two men sat quietly. They no longer looked confident. Their shoulders were low, and their eyes avoided the crowd. Gone were the badges and loud voices. Now they faced real authority. Anna was not leading the case, but many knew her presence mattered. Another prosecutor presented the facts. Videos from neighbors. Fake badges. Lists of addresses. Testimonies from families. Ben listened carefully as his own story was shared. He remembered that day clearly. The fear. The confusion. The moment he called his father. Hearing it now felt different. Stronger. When Ben was asked to speak, he stood calmly. His voice was clear. He explained what happened without anger. He spoke about how the men acted official and how that made him afraid. "I did not know I could say no," Ben said. "I thought they had real power." Those words stayed in the room. Many heads nodded. The judge listened closely. When the hearing ended, the message was clear. Pretending to have power and using fear would not be ignored. The case moved forward with firm consequences. Outside the building, reporters waited. Cameras flashed. Anna kept her answers short. "This was about protecting people," she said. "Especially those who feel unsure." Tom placed a hand on Ben's shoulder. "You did well," he said. Ben smiled. "I just told the truth." Back on Maple Lane, life continued. But it was not the same as before. It was better. The HOA board had changed completely. New members were elected. Meetings were open and honest. Rules were explained clearly. No one felt afraid to ask questions anymore. The park became a busy place again. Children played. Parents talked. Ben often helped younger kids fix their bikes. He enjoyed being there now. One afternoon, Mark stopped by Tom's house. "We are planning a safety day," he said. "Workshops, food, games. Would your family like to help?" Tom looked at Anna and Ben. They nodded. On the day of the event, Maple Lane felt alive. Tables were set up. Music played softly. Police officers talked with residents in friendly ways. Legal helpers shared simple advice. Ben helped lead a bike safety corner. He showed kids how to check brakes and chains. Parents watched proudly. Anna spoke briefly to the crowd. "This neighborhood learned something important," she said. "Rules matter. But respect matters more." People clapped. As the sun lowered, Tom watched the scene with a full heart. He remembered the fear from that first day. How small everything felt then. Now it felt open. That evening, the family sat on the porch. The street lights turned on slowly. The air was calm. "Do you think this will stay this way?" Ben asked. Anna thought for a moment. "Nothing stays perfect," she said. But people remember lessons. Tom nodded. And they remember courage. Ben looked down the street. He felt older in a quiet way. Not rushed. Just aware. Weeks later, a letter arrived. It was from a family in another neighborhood. They thanked Ben and his parents. They said the story helped them question something that felt wrong. Ben read it twice. I did not know we could help people we never met, he said. You can, Anna replied. Truth travels. As months passed, Maple Lane became known for something new. Not strict rules. Not silence. But unity. Ben started writing about his experience for school. Not as a victim, but as someone who learned to speak up. Tom returned to his daily work with a lighter step. Anna continued her work with quiet pride. One evening, they sat together at dinner. Laughter filled the room. To home, Tom said. To courage, Anna added. Ben smiled. To asking questions. They shared a quiet moment. The street outside was peaceful. But now, it was protected by something stronger than rules. It was protected by people who cared. And that made all the difference.